Taiwan is home to some of the most famous bicycle manufacturers in the world, such as Giant and Merida. We also enjoy some amazing routes, especially in the mountains. But if you spend just a little time in the cities, you'll notice that very few people actually ride bikes around as a form of transportation. Why is this the case? I've been binge watching an amazing YouTube channel called More Than Bikes recently. As the channel name might suggest, it demonstrates that a bikeable city isn't just about bikes, but rather the design of the city itself. Ideally, the perfect city for biking is one where you can cycle without even encountering a car. The next best might be a place that has some dedicated bike lanes. Failing that, at the very least, you can paint some bicycle gutters so you know bikes have priority, in theory. Or, you can do what Taiwan does in most places, which is absolutely nothing. Now, I'm no expert in urban planning or road design. I'm just some random guy who happens to live in Taiwan, who knows that biking is ridiculously dangerous here, and thus why so few people actually bike in the city. For us, motor vehicle dependency isn't caused by suburbia. For the most part, Taiwan zoning laws allow for multiple use. You'll see residential and shopping areas mixed together. The issue is mostly that because there's absolutely no protection on the road, you're forced to share it with cars. What I'm going to do today is record myself as I go to the library and see if there's anything I can observe on the trip that helps explain why. Here we can see a rare empty spot on the side of the street. This is where you're supposed to park. These are pretty rare, so what most people do is to just turn on their hazards, park wherever, and try to get in and get out as soon as they can. A 4-lane street is actually fairly typical size in Taiwan, but unfortunately, as you'll see, much of the time it won't actually have a 4-length width because it is blocked by cars parking or stopped illegally on the street. On the right, we see a car parked right in front of a bus stop. And to be fair, I understand why they do that. It's not like car drivers are trying to be assholes. I have a car of my own that I need to take out sometimes, and it is quite difficult to find convenient parking. Still, that doesn't really help much. The reality of it is that they do make things more dangerous through these decisions, understandable or not. To my right, we see some of the rare so-called bike lanes here in Taichung, which are certainly better than nothing, but oftentimes we don't even get that. A lot of the time, these sidewalks are actually obstructed. You see this car parked over here, you see the electric box here, so you're forced to ride in the street anyway, which is ridiculously dangerous. Here you can observe one of the things that makes riding either a scooter or a bike particularly dangerous in Taiwan, which is that we have to share our lane with the right turn lane that cars use. I don't think I need to explain why this is a bad idea. Up ahead of me, we can actually see someone riding a bicycle. As you can see, they're using the exact same lane that I am, even though their speed is less than half of mine. Food delivery services have become very popular here in Taiwan, either Uber Eats or Food Panda. which further increases the number of scooters on the street at any given time. The situation is exacerbated by the fact that a lot of our sidewalks that are protected by roof awnings are oftentimes occupied by private users or by people parking. This causes even more people to go out into the street, which makes it even smaller and more dangerous. And that's why, like you see, there are often people just having to walk on the street because the chilo, where they're supposed to be able to walk, are just totally blocked off. Pedestrians share the same green as vehicles for most intersections, which also makes things more dangerous. And to the right, we see the ultimate irony, a bike shop with some beautiful and high-performing road bikes, which are utterly useless here in this city because it's just too damn dangerous to ride. It probably seems like I'm making Taiwan feel like a third world country here, and that's really not my intention. Public transportation and traffic in general tends to be a bit more advanced or even civilized in some cities, such as Taipei. I'm just trying to give a somewhat anecdotal yet representative look at what typical traffic may look like. I think Taichung is a reasonable middle ground between some of the better places and some of the worst places. I am aware that my dashcam may make it look like I'm driving like a madman, and maybe I am, depending on what standards are like from where you're from. But honestly, in my defense, the camera makes footage look a lot faster than it actually is. I'm not really speeding that much. Here we can see someone that got into an accident between a scooter and a car. I did not put them there. One of the key issues with traffic in Taiwan is that it prioritizes cars over everything else. If you see the markings on the left-hand side of the street in yellow, that means scooters prohibited. In other words, scooters and bicycles are not allowed to use certain lanes in the road. We're generally speaking only allowed to use the lanes on the right-hand side. Now, the problem is that the right-hand side is also shared by buses, taxis, people parking illegally, people opening their doors into us. So that creates a particularly unsafe environment. Part of it really is that a lot of us here in Taiwan are simply inconsiderate or selfish drivers. There's no way around that. But poorly designed cities overall make these problems worse and result in a more unsafe environment for everyone involved. So, what would it take for Taiwan to start riding bikes regularly and not just sell them? Well, entirely redesigned cities, basically. A move away from a car-centered mindset, and maybe the temperature being cool enough that you don't soak your clothes with sweat within 5 minutes. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm not holding my breath. Thanks for tuning in.